Hey folks, CLG here. Little discussion here today about my situation and what I'm planning on doing antenna-wise. I'm kind of into no damn loading coils whatsoever. You know, you have an antenna that's, physically not the right length, using a loading coil to make the impedance correct to the radio is complete nonsense, in my opinion. If you have to use a loading coil for multi-band antenna, that's required because of your space, have at it, or if it works for you, great. But my opinion is that that's not something I want to ever do, if possible. So Buddipole is one that I've been kind of told to look at. I've made videos on this before. There's the Buddy Hex. Here it is right here. That would give me multi-band operation from, I think, 20 to 6 meters. When I looked at the, the build of it, they're saying, oh, this is what you got to have for, parks on the air or any kind of field day or any of that. And I talked to a guy that told me that these are great, and I'm sure they are. I don't know. But the installation seems a little wacko, just for me. And I don't know if these are plastic parts. I don't know. I think people are using them, but I haven't heard any of them on the air, actually, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm not on the air. I listen once in a while, and I'm sure people are using these. The guy that told me about it, said that he has listened to people on 17 meters, and they're not all, but they're using them and they work. But the whole setup and installation seems like a little much, It's probably a good product. I don't really know. But it's a hex beam. I probably need to do a little reading on this to see if this is, something I'd want to do. The price is a little high. Let's see. Well, it's not high. It's just, what it is. Okay, where is it? $749 for a hex beam, Buddy Hex. But I don't think it's the installation and installing it is that easy, because I need an antenna that I can deploy and undeploy immediately, you know what I'm saying? The Buddipole company also has tripod and Mast systems. And I am looking at, where is it? They have a bunch of different ones. Here it is. A 10-meter height, 32-foot one. This looks interesting. So $879 for the Mast. These masts, these 32-foot masts, I don't know what the hell will happen. They used to be like $300. Now they're almost $1,000. There's one I was looking at DX Engineering. It's just a telescoping mast. But this one has a hand crank. Let's see. Here it is right here. This is a plan view. To crank, I believe that is to crank the mast up. So the whole 32-foot thing, I can just use a crank. Here it is. To crank that 32-foot, whatever this is made out of, fiberglass, I don't know, with my wire, on the top. So a 40-meter wire for vertical is roughly 32 feet. I would also have a 20-meter on there as well, and then I would have two separate ground plates with separate radials, that are not connected together. There would be like two coaxes going to each one. I know that the DX Commander, if you buy his thing, it's one coax going to the whole conglomeration of multiple wires. I don't want to do that. I want those to be separate. I know it works, but our DX Commander's version of, vertical, I guess it's a kind of a folded dipole. I don't know. He explains it. I know it works. He sells a lot of them. People are happy with them, but I got a thing in the back of my mind going, I don't want to have, I don't know. I'm probably an idiot, but I'm just, for some reason, I'm thinking having all that wire that's not designed for the band I'm on is going to cause problems and not be able to be tuned properly. I'm just thinking, you know, it's probably not true, but I don't care. I can do a 40 meter and a 20 meter vertical wire and use them on 15 and 10 for the second harmonic. So that's kind of what my plan is. But anyway, I think this pole 879, it's a little high, but that's the going rate. Would be a way to go for me in my situation over here to get right out of 40 meters. So the Buddy, the hex beam, so there's no, when I looked at the documentation, we're constructing it, it's basically just a wire comes out, goes around the hex for 20, they have wires for 20s, I think it's 17, 15, 10. So you have a big, huge loop with things, but that whole hex top part of it is pretty huge for me. You know, it's big, it's huge. I mean, I don't mean out of control huge, but here's a guy, here's the thing. It's huge, man. It is, and I don't think this is gonna work over here. He's got guy wires on it too, so. I would like to try one, but I don't think for my situation, this installation is gonna be the greatest. I would have to basically construct it over the edge of a deck, and then turn it and just rotate it as I'm connecting the wire. Then I want to take it down immediately when I'm done. So I don't know. Maybe once you have it up there, you can deploy it quickly. I don't know, but I need to take a look at it. So I'm not sure this is the antenna for me on the upper. And I messed around with dipoles. I could do that, like test a 20 meter dipole, just like build one, or a 10 meter, 15 meter dipole, and just kind of string it somehow from whatever up here and see how that works. But I don't think that radiation pattern is the best for over here. Just my situation geographically, how where I'm at sitting here operating. So that's just my view on what kind of an antenna. I know I'm still kind of trying to build the station up equipment-wise, trying to get it planned out, for when I do install it. But the antenna is the big thing. That's the main deal. This equipment's worthless if I can't be heard on the radio. But also, I plan on receiving probably 90% of the time more than transmitting. I'm in an HOA here, and any transmissions I do will have to be are limited. Transmitting here should be low power constantly, because I am in an HOA and there's people that live around here, so I don't want to radiate people, So there's absolutely no kilowatt amplifier going in over here, unless it can all be remotely controlled somewhere off in the woods. But anyway, right here, that's the plan. So just to have a really good receiving station, and when I have to transmit, a couple of bursts, and try to keep the power down between, 25 to 50 watts. But I mean, there'll be times when you want to crank it up to 100, and I just don't know. I don't think transmitting a long time, like running a net for couple hours straight, is not something I'm going to be doing here. But receiving is my main thing that I would like to do, and actually having general coverage receiver like the Hammerlin that I can go into, so just having that coverage of everything in shortwave beyond ham radio is also cool too. I would like to just have a really good receiving station that can transmit when I need to do that. That's my views on that. 73. Have a good day, folks.